Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about 3 signs your anxious and avoidant relationship will work. And if you're like me, because this was something I definitely was talking to astrologers about and tarot cards, the whole anybody and everybody that I thought might be able to give me some insight, I was asking this question because if you don't know, it was definitely a roller coaster with me and my then boyfriend, now husband, Craig. We were opposite attachment styles and we are now married with a secure attachment because believe me, you can be married and not have a secure attachment, okay? That's just true. So I know this episode is going to really land if you can identify with being anxiously attached, and specifically the people that I really know this is going to land for. You can I highly identify as a high achiever. And I want to just say this, not just a high achiever, but your life is really buttoned up. Meaning you've got it together on paper, right? You've got letters behind your name, you're climbing the corporate ladder, you got real estate, whatever the thing is, right? And at the same time, being anxious in your relationship is like a dirty little secret that maybe even your partner doesn't know. Maybe they don't know exactly like what's going on for you because number one, not because they're stupid, but because you're really good at hiding it and you can white knuckle it until it all kind of blah comes out at them, or you can just really just keep it under wraps until it's like it just all kind of wells up and it kind of explodes. And that can be an emotional, like cry explode, it can be a rage explode. All of us have different ways of letting that energy out. And so that's kind of you. And then we got your partner, who, whether you know they're avoidant or not, doesn't really matter. But let's say you can tell if they really need time to decompress, to recharge. They retreat after highly charged situations. They tend to need some space from the what you got going on there. And that's the typical dynamic that I see going on that I love working with the most. And I just know this well in and out. It's literally ask any of my clients. I do this all day, every day. I love talking about this, giving tangible steps, helping people heal. Like this is what I do. It's what I'm here on this planet to give. So that's you. Download, save it, send it. And if you're new here, my name is Claire. I am a relationship coach and I love serving, just like I described, highly achieving, high performing, high caliber women who are doing really great out there on paper and you are secretly struggling with feeling really anxious in your relationship. So if that is you, then you're in great company. And if you're enjoying this episode or any of the other episodes, hitting the 5 stars, it's just me and the camera and this microphone. And what I love is seeing your little high fives in the form of 5 stars on Spotify or Apple. Also, P.S. Apple girlies, y'all are stepping up. I love you so much. Thank you for doing that. It really means a lot. It helps me to get the message out there, and I appreciate you. So, I was thinking about this topic and what I wanted to bring forward today. And I was thinking about, I'm going to bring her up, Taylor Swift, and she has the song The Prophecy. And it goes something like, spending my last coin to ask someone it'll be okay. That is not my karaoke. I actually have a great voice, but I can't even really think of the lyric. But spending my last coin to ask somebody if everything will be okay. And if you've ever felt that or have listened to that song and felt that so deeply in your soul, then honey, buckle in because I want to give you some clarity in the best way that I can here in a podcast format to get you to really look at what's important. Okay. So, and I also just want to say, I was kind of, maybe I was being light about it, but I just want to say that astrology, I would talk to astrologers, and that was true. I would look at astrology, and I definitely, most definitely have a firm appreciation, understanding in astrology. Now, I am not what I would call a predictive astrologer. In fact, if I were to say I'm an astrologer, I'm a novice at best compared to people in my world that are highly successful, highly just really good at astrology. I'm a novice at best. But what I will say, what I like about these tools, because as a human, at me personally, even as humans, we love to kind of identify who we are and have an idea and have some structure. Like you can look at Enneagram or what's the Myers Briggs, human design. And P.S., I love all combinations of those. I personally am more of a astrologer, human design kind of girly. But one thing that whatever you are into is understanding that we have as humans, we want to have an understanding of who we are. That's it, period. And it's really great to have these different tools and different mechanisms and different perspectives to do deeper introspection. And so, to me, even though I'm an astrologer, I do use astrology as a tool to look even deeper, to go within, to be more introspective, because that is actually the most powerful thing that we can do. And I was thinking about this in my yoga practice this morning. I was thinking about one of my yoga teachers who would say this, and I really feel, and I've been practicing yoga since 2009, okay? Teaching, I was a very big teacher, had in-person classes. I have the 500-hour yoga certification, which is the highest level that you can go. Um, but one of my favorite teachers, she would talk about how you are your best teacher. You are your best teacher. And I really didn't understand what that meant until even today, where really being able to understand your body and be your own best teacher by asking better questions and doing deeper dives within yourself is so critical and so important. So whether you like astrology, human design, I don't really care as long as the core of what makes any of those assessments work is understanding and being willing to know yourself, which we'll talk about more in a second. But I also feel like this is really important in the perspective of like, what are your daily practices? And I just want to do a little flex because this is a big deal for me. And when I think about things that I do regularly on a consistent basis, and for the last 30 days, it'll be actually, I think, 31 days tomorrow, I have officially been off caffeine for 4 weeks, which I have to really think about it. Maybe the last time I've gone this long without caffeine was when I was experiencing burnout, when I was hit rock bottom with my gut health and my hormones. I was horizontal for months. I mean, I could not do anything. I am so thankful that I had a very flexible career at the time, and I really hit rock bottom. So I think that was the last time I was absolutely no caffeine for a certain period of time. And your girl loves a good hot iced, I don't care. I love some caffeine. And one thing that I think is really great about the past month being without caffeine is that caffeine's a stimulant, right? And one thing that I know is going to help you if you are wondering, will this work? And the key thing is when I'm off caffeine, I have a much clearer access and conversation with my own inner voice, my own ability to listen deeply to what my authentic self is actually trying to say or what my authentic self is actually feeling. Because when you're all jacked up on caffeine, I mean, I should do just a whole episode on the damage of caffeine with anxiety. I mean, hello. If you really looked and got honest with yourself, truly, in fact, I got a DM from somebody so sweet. Also, PS, when you guys just send me a random DM telling me how the content or how the podcast has helped, it truly like hits me in the heart. Thank you for doing that. And I do my best to respond to everybody, but my DMs are literally insane. So thank you for being patient. But when it comes to caffeine and what I see, especially with this episode and what we're talking about, my ability to listen to my inner voice is 10x. It's so much better because I'm not all jacked up with caffeine. My mind is not slower, but it's clearer because I'm not using the stimulant to connect or to get things done or to feel more energy. I actually have more access to energy and to clarity because I'm not on the stimulant. So, just saying that a daily practice, maybe you don't go 30 days or however long, but it's a good practice to see how are you trying to get connected and what's getting in the way, and caffeine might be one of those things. So, just wanted to drop a little like that is something in my daily practice that I do and have done. And even when I'm not going 30 days for a long stint, I'll go a weekend or really minimize the coffee that I drink. And not only that, if I do have coffee, it's typically decaf. I know, I know. And the thing is, I just like the flavor of coffee. You know what I mean? I love a good pumpkin spice latte or a peppermint mocha. I love all that stuff. And so don't get me wrong, I really get it. And the more that I can choose decaf and I'll intermix on Monday, I'll have caffeine, Tuesday, I'll have matcha. I really do my best and I'm intentional and conscientious about how much caffeine I consume. And I recommend you do that too. Okay. So let's dive into it. Well, how can we actually see what are the signs that you want to be looking for that your anxious with avoidant relationship will work? Let's do it. The first thing that I want you to look at is assessing, are they willing? That's the first thing. Are they willing? And when I look at Craig, my husband, he hands down has always been willing. Seriously. Now, when I say willing, I'm a fire sign, he is an earth sign. Just that in itself should tell you a lot. He is steady Eddie. He is just, he's a Capricorn. So I'm going to bring in some astrology. He's a Capricorn. He's very, when I think about the different energies of different signs, it's more like a barge. If you think about water and boats and all that, it's definitely a really hard time changing direction, but very steady, very, heavy. It's a heavy energy. I am a fire sign, which is just basically opposite, where I am all over the place, but really powerful, can really burn a motherfucker down. And it's just different. And even though those energies and those approaches are very different, in my own process, one of the things I'm here to learn on this planet is patience. I'm not a patient person by nature. I've had to learn how to be that. But when I would sit back and watch and really be with him and be with who he really is, he always showed up for me. He was and is so freaking willing. And that's what you want to look for. That's a sign that they're willing to show up for you. Now, again, key thing here, they may show up at a different timeline, different timing, right? Because I want answers right away. That's kind of like the go-to thing that I am into. I want an immediate answer. And he can't give me an immediate answer. We've learned what has made our relationship work was that I have learned to be patient and he has learned to get clear and get a download and always gets back to me with where he's at this point. Okay? So just be aware that they can be willing and they can also have their own way and their own process around things. That's the first thing. The second sign that your relationship with your avoidant will work is, are you willing? Now, I'm going to say that this is arguably the most important thing, okay? Because yes, we want to see, are they willing? And at the end of the day, I want to say that you have to be willing too, okay? And I mean this with so much love, but I see a lot. Okay, I have built a platform, got some great followers who are listening to this. I see a lot of talk, but not a lot of walk. And I say that and that might be triggering. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm holding your hand like while I say this, but talking about it is one thing and being about it is a different thing. Because you can say that you want to heal, you can say that I'm doing my best, but really what matters is the actions that you take. And I'm just going to hold your hand while I say this. I see a lot of you talking, but not a lot of you walking, because if you really want a long term healthy relationship, and if you're in a relationship where you can kind of feel, a lot of my clients, when they come to me to work with me one on one, they can tell they're pushing a good person away. All of them, almost every single one has been in a position where they are with a person that has shown up for them, and they are in all accounts really great, and at the same time they're feeling like they're pushing them away. And when that happens, we we tend to want to blame the other person, when really you have to be willing to. And I mean, you see this. If I wanted to like put a viral post out there, I just know I can see really clearly the people that are going to change and actually heal, and the people that aren't. And also, not to just say that I'm perfect. I used to be like that too. In fact, I remember when this is probably maybe a year or 2 before I met Craig, I read a book around attachment styles, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is totally me." All these things, and I got really into the diagnosis, and in my head, logically, I kind of understood things. But knowing something is very different than taking action and experiencing something, which is why when I work with clients, it is all experience based. So when I work with, for example, one-on-one clients, we do experiential exercises where we're not just talking about it. I just want to, no, we're not talking about it. We talk about it a little or part of it, but we are taking action, and we are doing, and we're experiencing it. And so this is like, "Oh, Claire, give me a journal prompt." I have a freebie, free journal prompts on my links, and it's still incredible to me because I find that a lot of times people don't even do them because they are just kind of stuck in their own self-sabotage. So, it's are you willing isn't a question of whether we desire something, because you can want a bombshell body all you want. Are you going to the gym? That's my question, right? Are you actually, just like you want them to be different, what are you doing to be different? Okay. So that's the second sign. When I see women that, especially, I'm just going to brag about my one-on-one clients. When they get in there, they are in there. Okay, we have daily, weekly things that we do, and they show me their work, the actions they're taking, and it's like, and then of course they have amazing results because they're taking action. Just want to say, and also my alumni. I know I know y'all are listening. I know you're doing it. So keep going. Okay. Third sign that I see in my own relationship and with clients that actually make it is they look at the overall, okay, the overall picture. And instead of getting bogged down with one instance or this Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is coming up, ugh, you know, last time they didn't do anything, or the last person, they do not get bogged down by that. A sign that you're moving in a good direction is that you're able to see your relationship overall, because fear makes us overly focus. That's what fear does. It makes us overly focus on what's not working. And when we do that, we can't see the forest through the trees. We can't see the overall picture. Instead, we get hyper focused, like on that pimple, right? We're just gonna get in the mirror and pick. And it's our ability to zoom out to see the relationship in a broader and bigger perspective, that when I see clients that are able to do that, that are able to take a step back, that are able to see their relationship as a whole, it's a good sign. Okay, it's a really good sign. So, let's just do a quick review. Are they willing? Right? Are they willing to change? Are you willing? And not just from a desire standpoint, are you taking the action to change? And the last one is, are you looking at the overall picture? If you can, a sign is, can you zoom out? Can you step back and see the whole picture instead of narrowing in and zeroing in on what's not working? Three huge signs. So, that being said, if you are really looking at working on your anxious and avoidant relationship, you want it to work, great news. the Healing Girl Gang, which is my community, and the way it's structured is that we kick off every single month with a training. And in depending on where and when you join, there's implementation days where I teach you specific tools. And this month is about specific tools for anxious and avoidant relationships. And we also have an action taker toolkit. I mean, there's so many things that we do in the Healing Girl Gang. It's incredible. And this month is all about when you're with an avoidant as an anxiously attached person and how can you actually heal it. So that being said, I'm bringing that up because we're going to talk about the hotline that we have in the Healing Girl Gang, where there's the ability, depending on the questions that come up, for your question to be answered here on the podcast. So let's do Caitlin. Her question is how to approach things from a place of love instead of a place of fear. God, I love that question. I love my husband, see, married person, and love to hang out with him, but often my efforts are seen as insecurity and not love. Okay, gosh, and Caitlin, I gotta say, I don't read these ahead of time. I like to kind of be surprised and give my reaction and give my best answer on these questions. And gosh, how do we see our relationship from a place of love and a place of fear? I think the best way to answer that in a summary would be, do you even know what your fears are? And when I say that, I mean, I'm going to guess that a lot of you, if not all of you, can identify with having some kind of fear of abandonment, a fear of being left, a fear of I'm not doing enough. To me, that's under the umbrella of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy. And what I think gets misunderstood, and when it comes to how can I see it from a place of love instead of fear, we tend to not go deeper with what that means. And I say that because I've been doing a little experiment and I've been feeling like I want to really challenge myself this year and get to the root of some things. So I've been really doubling down on my journaling practice. I was talking to one of my friends who actually introduced me to this practice, and she was mentioning how I just go ham. It's true. I mean, if I say I'm not going to do coffee, I do coffee and I go for like I said, 30 days or something. I don't know. I might even go longer. I'm kind of liking how it's going. Um, but what's gotten really clear to me as I've been doing these practices and really dialing them in is I have gotten so much better at really facing my fears and getting curious with them. So it's not just, okay, I have this fear of abandonment and then washing your hands and walking away from it. It is really disentangling, unfurling, uncovering what is it that you're scared of and really facing your fear up front instead of letting it kind of be this background app. Like if you open your phone and you have 10,000 apps open on your phone, how is that going to affect how your phone works? The memory, how, right? If you have these fears running in the background and you don't close them, I'm not saying close them out, but open them and say, oh, okay, like, wow, this bank app has been open for 40 days, right? You have to actually assess and look at your fears. That's been a critical thing for me in order to face my fears, to come from a place of love, to really truly understand that. Because I've said this in different ways in my content, and I teach this more specifically with my clients, but you're actually not scared of being abandoned. I know. I know. Save this. Send me a DM. You're not scared of being abandoned. You are actually scared of how you feel after that happens. Take a moment. Take a breath. You're not scared of the abandonment. You're scared of what happens and the feelings that you have after that happens. Mind blowing, right? And so one of the things that you want to get really good about is how then is your relationship with love and what is your self-love looking like? All right? Because most times we are just straight up operating from our fear. When I had one of my bigger spiritual awakenings, it was seriously freaking mind blowing to understand how every moment, I'd say 95% of my day was from a place I was operating from fear. And it's taken me a long time to deconstruct that and to understand and face my fears. I really feel like 2025 is like going to be a whole different animal over here in the healing girl world and from yours truly. But I say this because I had to understand my fears and to really get the support. And P.S. This was not like by myself. I've have community. I have a partner. I have got coaches that help me to deconstruct this. And then when you can understand, okay, well, this is what I'm doing out of a place of fear, then you can understand how, well, then what is love? And if your muscle, your own inner self love muscle is not strong, I say that with love, okay? Because some of you are gonna cringe at hearing, I'm not strong at this. I love you, but that's the truth. Where your own ability to be gracious, compassionate, kind, open, honest, and loving to yourself is not good, then that's what it really boils down to. Because if you have a gap in how much you love yourself and what that actually looks like on a day-to-day basis, then yeah, you're gonna struggle and you're gonna operate from a place of fear. So the answer is to what is your relationship with self-love? P.S. This is everything I teach in the Healing Girl Gang and one-on-one clients. Like literally the step by step, how do you deconstruct that? What it actually takes. And I also just want to say for those of you who are like, well, why can't we just talk about it here? And it's also because so much of this is unique. Everybody's how their language of their love internally is slightly different. It's like a fingerprint. Yeah, we all have thumbs, but your thumbprint and your unique signature in how you express love, how you receive love, the dialogue of how you talk about love internally is all different. So, that's my stake and what I perceive and what I know to be true. And I also just know that your willingness to get curious, Caitlin, is a first step. All right, angels. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you on the socials, and I love you so much. Mwah.